Welcome, Guardians, to another episode of the DTR podcast. I am your host, Jay, the content manager here at the Tracker Network. And joining me this week is my amazing friend and co-host, Jay Rambo 919. Jay Ram, what's up, my man? How are you?
What's up, dude? How you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Our special guest this week is Darkside royalty. Darkside, welcome to the show, my friend.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Joker back again, once again.
Thank you
there's
so
that
much.
voice, man. Shit. Smooth.
Thank you, Joker, so much for joining us this week. We're super excited to have you on.
I'm super excited to be here. I've actually been hyped about this all day.
Good, awesome.
Good. I like that.
And I'm coming up after Bro Man. I hope I don't let him down.
Dude, Bro Man was a great guest.
God, yeah, no.
It's going to be a great show. We have a ton of things to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about, of course, go through our content creator Q&A segment. We're going to go through Trials of the Nine. We're going to talk about Crimson Days. We're going to go through the TWAP because there's a lot of good info in there. And then our last segment of the night will be a new segment called The Last Word. No pun intended, I promise. What happened? Oh. I swear there's no pun intended. It's just that it's the last segment of the show, the final words. I think it's going to be pretty good. It's about 30 seconds to 45 seconds long. Trust me, it's good. But before we dive into all of that, I do, of course, have a few housekeeping things to get out the way. So you guys can find the DTR podcast on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and the Google Play Store at Destiny Tracker Podcast. The show is recorded on Fridays at 7:45 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/DestinyTrack. If you guys would like to support the show, you guys can subscribe and leave a review on Apple Podcasts and then follow us on Podbean. And then you guys can use our promo code DTR for 10% off your Gamer Subs GG order. All right, Darkside, I'm going to pass it on to you, man. Do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, jeez, yeah. What do you want to know?
Just throw it at us.
Okay, so yeah, I guess depends on who you ask. I'm either the savior of the Destiny community or the worst, the most toxic supervillain that has ever spewed vitriol on the internet. Mm-hmm. Depending on who you ask. Honestly though, I'm like a guy who loves this franchise. I really am. And I'm a huge fan of the lore. If you go watch any of my lore videos, it gets in there. And it's I look at this franchise and I'm like, no, don't go that way. Because I was a huge Halo fan. Mm-hmm. Okay. And there's a lot of rose-tinted glasses for what Halo Reach was now. Back in the day, oh no, nobody liked Reach. And I watched what Reach did to Halo, and I was kind of seeing that coming in with Destiny 2, mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, come on, no. And because you don't want the franchise that has such great storytelling capacity and stuff like that to die out. So you okay, I could be doing these lore videos, I could ignore this problem, or I could use this platform to say something. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what it snowballed into. And, I'm like, come on, Bungie. I'm really rooting for them at the end of the day, mm-hmm. Because I do think they have the talent. But there's, like we were talking about, there's a couple of people in upper management that get to make the decisions at the end of the day, that it doesn't matter how talented, how amazing the programmers, the writers, the art. Oh, my God, the artists are amazing. I got both the concept art books. Mm-hmm. Oh, geez, I love those things. It doesn't matter how amazing they are if their vision doesn't get to make it to the game.
I agree.
Yeah. And so that's kind of where I deviated from doing the lore stuff. It's I could do lore, I could ignore this. But if the world I like dies, if nobody's playing it, mm-hmm. If they're not making any more, mm-hmm. then what's the point?
Yeah. So how did you get into content creation on YouTube?
I got bored. No, okay, so I'm a huge fan of Bife. I'm a huge fan of Malin. I'm a huge fan of Sir Wallen. Rip Sir Wallen. No, I mean his channel. I love his lore videos. I think I liked his lore videos more than everybody else's because it told a bit of a story while it was going through doing it. It wasn't just kind of repeating the information as is. Yeah. That being said, Bife's voice.
It's amazing.
Oh, God, it's amazing. But so I got into the lore, and I'm watching these people, and I'm also a huge Game of Thrones fan. Okay.
All right.
And So like Preston Jacobs, Order of the Green Hand, stuff like that. And there's not an equivalent theory crafter in the Destiny community. Okay, and if you go and look at my first video, it's the second video. It's a Savathun video. It's about Savathun being the heart of the Black Garden. Mm-hmm. And I still think that was the original intent. It doesn't matter if we're going to have her in Taken King 2 Electric Boogaloo. But I still think the original intent when originally written was that she, you know, at the end of the Book of Sorrow, she goes through the black hole and she just disappears from the lore, you know? And it's like, what happened? Yeah. And then like there's the collapse and there's all these kind of like different literary devices sprinkled throughout the lore, through like the thorn, through what they thought caused the collapse, through all this other stuff. So I just started like grabbing these pieces and like looking at Greek mythology and like other literary devices that that I think Joseph Staten used when crafting these worlds, because I do think there's a clear delineation between like Taken King and pre-Taken King lore, and then after Taken King and, you know, Rise of Iron and Destiny 2 lore, and you can kind of see where the year 1, year 2 lore is very tonally consistent. And then like in the Rise of Iron and Destiny 2, it kind of, Rise of Iron was still more into that like Destiny 1 area, but it was definitely more character focused. Mm-hmm. Where and then Destiny 2 is definitely way more character focused. Mm-hmm. Where Destiny 1 Taken King was very more like high concept, like paracausality, like you know, all space magic, like physics, like string theory, you know, stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to look at all these different things and I'm going to piece them together, and I'm going to come out with these like theories of where the story could be going. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I did another one. Savathun was a really good passion project on that one, and I did another one on time travel, and I did another one on Rasputin, because Rasputin is basically just Durandal and Mendicant Bias. Durandal from Marathon and Mendicant Bias from Halo.
Wouldn't you have just like loved to see the supercut that Joseph?
Oh my God! I've said it before. I would give a kidney, my right kidney, Joe. If you're watching this, like the deal's on the table. I'm sure there's somebody who needs a kidney. Okay, like, and I've got 2. Okay, like, you know, call me.
Yeah. I would love to see that supercut. I wish they could just release it, but it's somewhere locked up on a server, probably at Bungie, or on his home computer. Please don't hack them, anyone. Please don't. But I would love to see that.
I'd love to see it too.
It would just be a tragedy if like maybe 100 copies were sent out to people just over the course of development, and it just so happened to end up on the internet like Music of Spears.
Yeah. Oh man, please! I would love to see that supercut.
Oh my God! Have you guys watched the interview with Marty?
Not yet. It's on my list of things to do.
Just the hopefulness and the like in the story, and the hopefulness and the like high concept that he's like talking about. And like one of the things he talks about is, what if the sun blinked for a moment? What would happen? And that was the idea of the genesis of Destiny. And I'm like,
super cool.
Yeah. Oh, all right. J-Ram, I'll pass it on to you, man, for your questions.
Yeah, okay, so we'll start off a little easy, and then we'll get into the more theoretical. We'll let you run with the ball type questions, okay? Okay. All right, so the first one is, and you kind of prefaced it a little bit when you said you're either the savior of Destiny or people just hate your guts.
Right, yeah.
So if somebody were to come up to you on the streets and recognize you with that beautiful voice and face,
that's happened.
And they said, you know what? You're a dick. How would you interact with that person to kind of show that you do care about this game and everything, and you know your videos are there because you're passionate about it? How would you go ahead and interact with that person?
Well, I think because I mean I've done that in like the comment sections of my early videos, especially when I was definitely a more contentious figure, I guess you'd say. Now people kind of like, okay, yeah, he was right.
I think you're a genius, so we'll just leave it at that.
But you know, I had that, and if somebody's willing to have the argument, like if somebody comes up to you and they're like, "You're a dick," and I'm like, "Have a nice day, sir," you know. But you know, like I had a guy, I tweeted this out, and he just like you're a perfect example of what not to be a human being or something.
Wow.
And I'm like his name was Shirley, okay, and I just replied to that, "Surely you jest," you know. And I was just like, I don't care. Like trolls are trolls, right? Like
right.
There's
the reason why I asked that question is, I think you're one of the, and there's many of them out there, but you're one of the ones that I really connect with, that you tell the community what we need to hear, not what we have to hear.
Yeah.
What I mean?
Yeah.
And for me, that's really important because, I work off of the assumption that I want to be wrong when I say hey, this game it's not fun. The weapon diversity is garbage. People are saying that they want random rolls back, but the weapon perks that we have now are just not exhilarating at all. There's nothing special about any of them. So even if they were random, you're still recycling the same, mediocre stuff.
Yep.
And when you come up and you, like I said, you bring these, you're not just giving us an opinion and going, "This is the way I feel." You're actually bringing in what other people have said before you, like the whole loot box system and the Skinner's box, and psychologically, how does that work on our brain and everything? I think that there's a lot of people out there that haven't seen that or haven't thought of it that way, and you're one of the few that actually brings that in, and that's what I love about your videos. And it's a shame that sometimes when I look at your YouTube comments and people do say that stuff, like you're a huge dick. I don't even think they're listening to what you have to say.
Oh yeah, I think I have a dedicated base of people that are subscribed to me that just go on the video to they don't even watch it, they just comment.
Yeah,
I've kind of gotten to the point of where I'm incendiary titles for that sake.
Yeah, Oh no, and I think that goes both ways.
Oh yeah.
Whether you're considered the Bungie shill or whatever, and there's a group of people that will do nothing but tear you down, or you're the person that absolutely hates the game and you make these videos that kind of exploit the weaknesses of the game, and then you have the positive people coming and going, "You don't know what you're talking about," blah blah blah. So with all these problems, I guess if you want to call them problems, they're definitely, I think, a little bit bigger problems.
Right.
How would you go ahead and you could pick just one thing, like if it was story lore, or if it was mission design, or if it was the weapons, how would you go ahead and try to fix something like that if you had the opportunity to do that?
Oh, I'm actually working. I'm not even joking. I'm actually working in the background of all this other Monster Hunter review and yada yada yada, of put my money where my mouth is. If I was going to make Destiny 2, how would I have done it? And one of the big things is they kind of already did it. Did you guys have the collector's edition?
Yes.
Okay, so
yeah, I was stupid enough to buy it.
Actually, I don't regret it because I bought the $100 physical one, not the $250.
Oh no, I went all out.
Oh
yeah.
See, I went all out on the first one, and I got the little Peter Dinklage ghost over here somewhere.
That's what I thought this collector's edition was going to be, and then I was like, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. It took me 25 minutes to figure out that the recharging station actually has shit inside of it. I didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm.
The lanyard and everything. It was just
yeah, and it's
I'll never do that again.
$150 bag, and you're like,
yeah,
really?
Don't even use it.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, dude, you're good. So when you got the book, it's got this little Callus sends you a message. Okay?
Yes.
And this isn't in the game, and it needs to be. And there's a hit list on it. And there's his daughter, and it gives the story of the coup and whatnot. It's got the daughter, the medicine man, Gull, his generals, yada, yada, yada. And he's kill all these people, and then when you come to me, you will be rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That story. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'm dude, imagine if you had strikes or going out in missions where you kill these generals, and they're talking about each of them have different level designs. Like one's his daughter, who's a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, we could have had space combat.
Yeah.
And they would have had an in-game excuse to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had one mission. That's all they needed, just like Reach. You know, space combat. There you go. And they didn't have to use our custom ships, right? They could have had we have this design ship that we've specifically made to go fight in space. Yada yada yada. Bam. You know, and then like the different little puzzles and whatnot. What we got though, like, if you take away the cutscenes, okay, the really nice, pretty cutscenes that have nothing to do with us. Mm-hmm. Destiny 2's story altogether isn't that much better than vanilla Destiny 1's.
I agree. It's almost like you're getting a pizza with you're getting a plain pizza.
Yeah.
Like there's really nothing special about it.
The food analogies.
Well, yeah, I mean,
always, yeah.
Don't get excited when you know they deliver what you ordered.
Yeah.
Like, be excited when the chef gives you a complimentary dessert.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like where's the sweetness? There was no sweetness here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and then like the Curse of Osiris. Once again, it's like you got this mythical figure he's Osiris, right? And he's badass and all this stuff, and it's unbelievable that number one, you only see him for like maybe a minute and a half total, and number two, if you read the comic and you compared it to what we got in the game, the stories don't even dovetail.
Yeah. Well, okay, not even that. Let's forget Osiris and the Curse Fall, whatever of Osiris for a minute. Panopsis, okay. The main villain, is a god. Basically, our concept of a multi-dimensional being that is pretty much omniscient. Mm-hmm. Okay, and he can decide which timelines exist and don't exist on a whim. How did they not do more with that?
I don't know. Well, let me ask you this question then, because this is one of like one of my go-tos. Where did Destiny get it right, and where did they get it wrong?
Ooh, that's well, I mean, playing the game, like even if you don't like the weapon system, like playing the game, the fundamental action of interacting with the game has always been solid. Mm-hmm. Okay, the art design again, always solid. I think the level design could use the open world, the open hub area design could use a little bit better planning. It's lifeless. There's enemies, but it's like, okay, where's the you know, interesting flora and fauna and stuff like that. You know, you go to Nessus and it's okay. There's red trees, which I swear Nessus started development as the Black Garden.
I could see that. I could see the similarities between the two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you read Pajari's vision of what he saw in the Black Garden when he went there. The Pajari vision of the Black Garden looks a lot more like Nessus than it looks like the Black Garden in the game.
Can you go ahead and expand on that a little bit for people who haven't read that, like myself?
No, yeah. Give me a sec. Let me see. So Pajari is this warlock who's a Thanatonaut, right? Mm-hmm. And he went into, let's see if I just look it up. He describes the Black Garden. And he's like, you know, there's these trees and they bled, you know, these white trees and red flowers and they bled sap like wine, you know, essentially like weirwood trees from Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. So you have all this stuff with Pajari, and he's just describing what the Black Garden looks like when he, you know, dives from the shores of time into it. And, you know, he's also had a lot of these theories about like the nature of the darkness and whatnot. And he's a very Osiris Toland figure that we don't see a lot of. Okay. And, you know, it talks about he's the one who goes up and he sees the rose in the shape of the ghost, and he reaches down to pluck it,
okay,
and it cuts him.
I did read this.
And he bleeds light. And when his ghost reses him, he has the thorn cut in his hand, and it doesn't heal. So like, again, when you look at his description of going down this, you know, peaceful meadow, you know, with all these trees and, you know, it's actually what Nessus is, because Nessus is very beautiful.
Oh, it's the best looking planet they have.
Yeah. So like there was a lot of work and care put into that. And I do think that was an extrapolation of the Black Garden. Just like, oh God, Io. Io is a really boring Venus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to like get back to the question. You have a lot of really talented people. I do think a lot of Destiny 2's problems was that it was kind of condensed. Like, they rebooted development like in the 11th hour. We've all talked about this. We all know about this. Mm-hmm. At least I think we all know about this.
Yeah.
If not, they have a great podcast where they talked about it on their YouTube channel. Look up the one with Jason Schreier.
Yep.
Anyways, so you have all this, reboot stuff. So I will give Luke Smith this, because a lot of people, he is the game director. He is, the one that any praise or blame falls down on at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Because he has the final say. So I will give Luke Smith this, and my opinion of this has kind of evolved since I've learned more. If he came in and whomever was working on the project beforehand handed him just a complete and utter mess, he did a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, we can have our disagreements about like how Destiny 2 functions as a product, as a game. Mm-hmm. But and then we can agree to disagree on a lot of things. But at the end of the day, if he was handed a mess that needed complete and utter management changeover, mm-hmm. and he put something out in a year, that's a great job. But if what we are missing out on was better, which we'll never know, mm-hmm. Then he did a bad job. So we can only judge on what we have. But I will give credit where credit is due, in this theoretical sense. But yeah, if I was going to there's stumbling. If I was going to say that different things that I do like the lore tabs. I wish they were expanded though. I don't think they're a way to tell the same type of stories that the Grimoire could.
Yeah.
Because are you just going to if you bring the last word into Destiny 2? Which story are you going to tell? Which card are you going to put on it?
Yeah,
that's true.
When we were told that the lore is coming into the game, I didn't think it was going to be the way it is now. Mm-hmm. Like I thought it was going to be like a book, and as you unlock certain things, you could start turning different pages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a codex, like every other game.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be.
Or like a record book. Like they used to have those.
Oh, Bife has a great video on that.
Yes, he does. And to kind of piggyback off of what you said earlier, because I do agree with you, and I have been watching not only your videos, but a lot of older, pre-Destiny 2 videos with Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy. Mm-hmm. And if you guys just watch the video, there's one video where I think it was with Fireteam Chat at the Dre event, where I think it was Fran Marabella. Oh. Yeah, Destin and Fran asked a question about what are some of the different changes that we can see with the subclasses and everything. Mm-hmm. And Mark Noseworthy took over and said, we want to make everything more fun. We want to make the fun more accessible. Mm-hmm. So we're simplifying everything. If you just go to that question, turn down the volume, and watch the way Mark Noseworthy and Luke Smith, their body language, Luke Smith looks completely disinterested or disinterested in that. Whole part.
I actually have a story about this. That was the interview that set me off. That was the interview that started my channel.
I didn't really think about what was happening here because I was so interested in what they were saying. Mm-hmm. And then when you listen to the Bungie podcast and you hear how Mark Noseworthy barely plays the game, he may play it maybe a couple hours a week if that, but yet Luke Smith is on it. Has one of the highest hours played out of anybody.
Yeah.
It sits there and when you start to think about it critically, you could see this is Mark Noseworthy's vision, not Luke Smith's vision.
So to kind of piggyback off that even, and it was kind of something we were talking about earlier when we were talking about the story before the show. We were talking about the story, I don't think that the reason people think that Destiny's writing is the way it is I think it's just the writers want to tell a different type of story, like a Guardians of the Galaxy or a Star Trek type story, instead of telling, the Cosmic Horde, the Lovecraft type story. I think that's kind of the same thing. Is in that interview, Mark Noseworthy's like, Luke always comes in and he gives me crap because I'm using this and I've got this and I got this and I got the wrong exotic, and it makes me feel really bad. And now we've created a binary choice where it's like you got this one cluster of perks and it does one thing, and you got this other cluster of perks and it does another thing, and it's just a really simple choice. I remember this interview really well. I've gone back to it a couple times. Anyways, so you have this kind of dumbed down vision, and I think it goes back to developers making games that they don't want to be good at, that they want to be able to play in their free time, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily we want to make a good game. We want to make a good game for us. Mm-hmm. And you can definitely kind of see that, especially with the during the Crucible Radio podcast, they had
John Wisniewski, right?
Was it John Wisniewski?
I know it was.
They were coming in and they were talking about the weapon system.
It was Claude Jerome. I know he was on there. I think it was John Wisniewski, maybe. But continue.
Anyways, they were talking about the dual weapon system, the two primaries, and apparently there was. I mean, we've heard about this before, where it's like there's this huge infighting over it. Okay, and you had one fragment of people that were like, we want these dual weapon systems, and then another group of people that are like, we don't want this, we like the Destiny 1 system, and they clash, but ultimately the guy who's at the top of the pay grade is going to get the final say.
Right.
And it all depends on where he leans. That's why when I make my videos, I try to distinguish that I am talking about management. I'm not talking about rank and file. The people who, again, I say it a million times. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. The programmers, the designers, the people that are writing the blurbs on your weapons. Mm-hmm. I have no problem with them. They are insanely talented people. Mm-hmm. It's the handful of people that makes the choices at the end of the day that decide the direction of the game.
Yeah.
So you recently made a video and you said that you applied to Bungie, right?
Yes.
So if hired, what would be your first thing that you would do day one?
So it was for narrative, right?
Right.
I would bring the writing team in, okay? And I would ask, I'd go, where I want to see the supercut first. I'm going to see that supercut, damn it. I want to see the supercut, and I'm going to make everybody sit around and watch it. Then, I'm going to be like, okay, now, and I'll pop quiz people even on lore and whatnot. Here you have homework. And then I would actually have the team because you have these team building exercises in any type of job, and I mean it sounds really silly when I say it like that, but this is stuff that happens when new management comes in. They get together, they see who knows what, they and they formulate kind of a new direction. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so that's what I would do is I would see who knew what, who was proficient in what, because writing, painting, which I'm way better at than writing, is an art form, and you got to use the right tools for the right job. So if somebody's really good at writing interpersonal relationship dialogue, and that's what they want to do, then put them on that task. If somebody wants to write cosmic horror stories, put them on that task, Mm-hmm. So, and then you have a unifying vision. You're like, okay, so we are writing a story of Rasputin. Okay. And then, what do you guys know about Rasputin? What do you guys understand, about his character? What do you think he's planning? Why do you think he shut himself off from the collapse? And you ask that question. Okay. You start from a question that you want to answer, and then you come back to, the beginning of the story, and you have a full arc. What did we because you have to answer something. Mm-hmm. What did we learn with the Curse of Osiris? What did we learn with Destiny 2? Mm-hmm. We were supposed to learn what it meant to be chosen.
Yeah.
The speaker the speaker gives this monologue about like sacrifice, about being a good example, yada yada yada. That's bullshit, and we know it because there was warlords.
Yeah.
There was evil guardians. There's I'm not even talking about dredging Yor. I'm talking about guys who had powers that Fellwinter had to shoulder charge because apparently Fellwinter can shoulder charge, and that's awesome.
And he was a warlock, right?
Yeah, it's kind of the joke that and he's probably also Rasputin. It was a joke that he Nia Justice shoulder charged one of the warlords, and he had learned that from Yolder. That's in one of the Fellwinter cards. And that would have been cool. That would have actually been really cool for the Fellwinter exotic because it makes you do more melee damage. Yeah, is instead of doing more melee damage, it gives the warlock shoulder charge.
Really cool.
Yeah,
and cool. And again, that's where exotics need to get is kind of interesting divergent gameplay. Look at the popular ones like the Colony. Everybody loves the Colony. It's not even the best exotic out there. It's not even the best heavy weapon out there.
It just feels exotic.
It's fun. It's so fun.
It's interesting. I'm not a big fan of it, but
oh god, I love watching you shoot it and you just little skitter guys just run up the walls. It's
that's cool, but then after the 50th time you shoot it, it wears off. Whereas, your Galahorn, you never get tired of watching his Wolfpack rounds just circle an enemy.
Oh yeah, no, that's fair.
All right, so
or Race Later. I loved Race Later.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I miss Dark Drinker. That was my favorite sword.
Oh yeah,
swords in general.
On Axis, that was fun.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Yep, I miss exotic swords. Why are they not in the game? They have swords in the game.
They
you
only
could have made a couple
months.
exotic ones. Yeah, but dude, Jake,
it was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke.
Okay, no, but we're talking about exotic swords. Okay, we just had the Iron Banner, right?
Yeah.
Why don't I have another Young Wolf's Howl?
Good point.
I mean, he said he has. I have in Rise of Iron. He's like, I have a whole warehouse full of these, but I made this one fresh for you. Why can't he just forge another one? That's something we can work towards.
I'm convinced Lord Saladin forgot about Rise of Iron and all that. He still has yet to acknowledge it, right?
I tweeted about this because it infuriated me. I was at the mall. I was at a Think Geek, and I seen a Lord Saladin figure. I was like, "Fuck this guy!"
It was
can't remember me. But then in the Iron Banner, there was 3 new Iron Lords, and I think there's actually 6 or 7 new Iron Lords with all the new weapons. And we knew that there was more Iron Lords.
Yeah.
Because a bunch died before they got to the room.
Right.
But it's there's no lore tab. I have no idea who these people are.
Exactly.
They're not in Destiny 1. They're not in Destiny 2 other than a name on a weapon. And that's how it was in Destiny 1 for the longest time, obviously. But we've evolved past that. We have lore tabs on weapons now.
All right. Well, for my last question, I think it's a very simple question, but I really want you to think about what it means to you. So, what does Destiny mean to you?
Ooh, actually, so I can actually really unpack this in kind of a very personal way. So just Bungie games in general has always been a huge thing in my family. Me and my dad never got along when I was growing up. And then we played Halo 2 together and we played through the campaign together. And I'm not even joking, overnight after that, it our relationship changed. It's just gaming together. And so my mom was a huge fan of Halo as well. She liked the books. She was, liked Cortana and stuff like that. And it was around the time Halo 4 came out. My mom got cancer and passed away. And it was this degenerative, it got into her brain. So she went not as herself, put it that way. So going in and playing it's kind of what has always been a through line in our family, Halo, Bungie games, stuff like that. And, I have 2 brothers and, so we get on, we play, me and my wife play. And in fact, after my mother passed away, because her and my mom were really close, me and my wife had problems with our relationship because I was burying myself in my work and she was burying herself in her work, and we weren't dealing with it properly. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it almost ended our relationship. And it's kind of funny to see how like something as simple as like playing a game together can like change relationships, can help people heal, you know? And so it is definitely like, as much as like hate and vitriol as people think I spew, it does come from a place of wanting to see this continue, to see this live on, because it is so personal to me, you know? And so, you know, that is kind of, you know, always been a through line for me and my family. And, you know, it's what me and my friends rally around. It's like, it's kind of a weird thing to say, but there's a reason I identify so instinctively with a Titan. I've never had that in any other game, you know? And then my best friend, you know, Faison, was a huge Sunsinger Warlock. Like that was his thing. And, you know, I've never seen a game like people identify with classes and ways to play in a game so personally as in like with Destiny. And I'm sure you guys have your, you know, you look at your character and you go, yeah, you know what, that clicks. That's me. You know, that's if I was in this world, that's what I would be. It's not like when you play Monster Hunter or something like that, you know, and I love these games. I love Monster Hunter. I love Warframe. But it's like the weapons are disposable. The characters are kind of disposable. But like, I don't know, in Destiny, maybe it's because the lore, maybe it's because, you know, the grind for the gear and the armor, especially Destiny 1. Not so much Destiny 2, but Destiny 1. You know, that time, that commitment, that drive, you know, to get better gear, to do better, to, you know, beat the raid on hard, to get the Vex Mythoclast, to get Thorn, to, you know, get all these really cool things, you know, on top of, you know, it just builds relationships and it helps people. And I can see that. And I can see where a lot of people were upset with me when I was criticizing the game because they had that relationship with it as well. But it's like, if you don't do this, if you don't say the hard things, then you're not going to have it. It's going to go away. Yeah, that got real.
No, for me, it completely clears any fog that I had, you know, and now I completely understand where you come from with the videos that you make. And I challenge anybody in this community to go watch your videos and not be able to see that raw emotion and how passionate you are about this. Yeah. And that's why I personally click with you, because I do want to see this game do well, and I do want to see this be the number one game, not the number two, like, you know, what the Activision's call. I want it to be number one. I want it to be this emotional connection that D1 I had. Like, I would defend D1 all day long. I would fight people over D1. Yeah. And D2, it's kind of like, it's there. It's just there. And I know it could be so much more. I know it can be so much more. And the framework and everything that they have to build with, it's there. It's just, why don't, you know, I just want you guys, meaning Bungie, to just exploit all that. Take one character like Osiris and just completely exploit that storyline. Don't make it a 5-mission DLC. He deserves more than 5 missions.
Yep.
You know, and Insane 14, he deserves more than a little gun. You know, and a picture and a little story of him dying there, which, I mean, if you think about what the Vex had to do to drain his light and how long it took for that to happen, you can't just sum that up in one mission.
No.
Yep. In Destiny, we have the privilege of being the mute errand boy that gets to see all the cool things after the fact and occasionally kill a god.
Yeah. That's you're right.
Yeah.
It seems like we're very reactionary. We're not we're not proactive. Mm-hmm. It's, oh, this happened, go fix it. Instead of us going out and saying, you know what? No, we're going to fight this back. Let's bring the fight to them, not the fight to us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
there's if I can interrupt, there's an article. There's an article that I was reading, and it's like the reason Destiny doesn't work with the lore, with the story, is because our character needs to be more like Commander Shepard. You know, and I completely agree that. And I'm looking at Destiny 2, and I'm like, why isn't that like Dragon Age Origins? Why isn't that like Mass Effect? It's not like we can go back and play the missions again once you beat them. You know, yeah, there's the bounties and, you know, yada, yada, yada. But, like, overall, you're not going to, like, beat the story mode and then go back to mission 1 and beat the story mode again like you could in Destiny 1. And even then, you still miss the cutscenes and all that stuff. So it's one of those things, like, Destiny really does need to be more like a Mass Effect Dragon Age game. And then, you know, so you got that on the story end. And then for like multiplayer and stuff like that, there definitely needs to be a separation. But I think if they did, you know, if they took the best iterations of weapon types from Destiny 1, like, I think hand cannons were the best during House of Wolves, with the exception of Thorn and Last Word, which were overpowered. Like, if you just looked at the legendary hand cannons, they did not deserve the nerf they got.
No.
Okay.
And I don't even understand why they did that.
Yeah, well, it's because they competed with scout rifles.
Yeah.
But I've always been of the mind, and this is probably going to piss a lot of people off, I've always been of the mind, some weapon archetypes are used for multiplayer, some weapon archetypes are used for, you know, PvE.
Yeah.
Well, you're right, and that solution can be, I mean, the solution to that problem is very simple. Separate those two worlds. Yeah. Which they won't do.
Well, I don't think their engine will allow it.
That maybe that too.
Oh,
well,
I never thought about that.
Well, right, yeah, and right now, let's be honest, they can't do that because the engine they use, it's already baked into the core gameplay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the only way we're going to see those two worlds separated is in D3, and that's if they have a completely new engine.
Well, because look at the TWAB when they're talking about the Nightfall changes. Mm-hmm. The only way that they were able to implement a scoring system in like really short notice was to have an item that you get that does it. It's not part of the UI. It's not part of just something that they did, because I think that would require an overall change, which is weird because that's what we had in Rise of Iron.
Yeah.
You know, but now it's an item, and I think it comes from the fact that I think the build that Destiny 2 is on, if I was a betting man, I would say the build that Destiny 2 is on is Taken King. Just, you know, is the Taken King build, not the Rise of Iron build.
I see. Yes.
And we actually know because there's they found House of Wolves stuff in the code. Yeah. Remember when they found the Prison of Elders?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago.
Wow. Yeah. Sorry, that just blew my mind. I just pieced together the pieces in my head. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing complete thoughts coming out of our host, Jay.
About that.
Look at the light bulb. Well, you've exhausted my questions, and you know, thank you very much for answering them, and the honesty that you gave for the very last question, man. I mean, it touched me, and I hope things are well with your family now. And I'm sorry to hear about your mother and everything.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man. My heart goes out to you guys, man.
This was a few years ago. Since then, my dad's remarried. I actually have a little 2-year-old brother now, which is so weird because my dad's like 50.
Yeah, I have a younger sister. I think she's like 17 or 18 years younger than me.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird because like I could be your dad. Which is creepy as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to say, yeah, let's move on because I'm still stuck on that whole engine thing, and I'm about to make a whole segment out of that, but we have a lot of things to talk about.
All right, let's get moving.
Let's move on to my favorite segment, which is the most fun you guys had in video games in the past week. So I'll go first. Again, I've been going back to Fortnite. I've been having a ton of fun in Fortnite this week and PUBG. And since it is my birthday week, and I'm actually going to treat myself to Monster Hunter this week, that our previous guests have recommended that game, so I am going to try that out, and I will talk about it next week here on the show. But yeah, Fortnite and PUBG is my most fun this week, and probably will be my most fun for the next few months too. Along with
Jay,
Monster Hunter.
didn't you get your first solo win?
I did get my first solo win in
man,
Fortnite.
congrats.
Yeah, because I've been playing a lot of PUBG, and then I switched off to Fortnite, and then I'm just having a ton of fun in Fortnite. Yeah, I did get my first solo win.
Those two games are definitely,
they're different in a lot of ways.
But they're the same. They're the same concept. Which one do you like more?
It's hard to see like which one I like more, because like PUBG, I feel like to me is more competitive because of all the attachments and things like that. Like PUBG is much slower than Fortnite. Fortnite, you drop in and you look at the UI and it's like 60 people alive in the first like 2 minutes of the game, and if that was PUBG, it would still be like 80 or 90 people alive. So like Fortnite is definitely much more fast paced than PUBG, but it's just hard for me to choose like which one I like more.
Okay.
I watched Ninja's Ninja's clips.
Ninja's amazing.
No. Some of them are just so dirty.
Yeah.
Like I'm like I don't even know what's going on because I downloaded Fortnite, but
it's fun.
So swamped that I haven't played it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always playing something else. Like Warframe.
Ooh.
But
nice.
yeah, I've been watching his clips. I'm like, oh my god, this looks so cool.
Ninja and Dr. Lupo, I watched them together when they stream, and they are a good team. Like I love the both of them.
I watched a clip of Dr. Lupo, who he's been on the show before, multiple times too, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I've watched him a clip where he like locked somebody inside of a room, and while he was telling the story of building the room with this person inside, he made like a little window, and as soon as he made the window, he was like, and he's dead by Dr. Lupo, and sniped the guy right out. I mean, right inside. And I'm just like, that is just phenomenal. Like, he just,
and he uses mouse and keyboard.
I don't think Fortnite's fun at all. I've downloaded it. I played it. It is not my thing.
We have to play together.
I think the game is dumb as hell. However, watching Dr. Lupo play makes it enjoyable. That is a game where I don't want to play it. I want nothing to do with it, but I will watch him play.
I think that's how I got into the game. Like, I started watching more people play the game, and then also I always see people talk about like Tilted Towers, and I see a lot of memes of Fortnite and a lot of snaps. So I'm like, all right, I should start playing this game more, and then that's how I just like fell in love. But like PUBG will always have a special place in my heart.
I watched a guy build like a stairway to heaven. And he just kept building a ramp up.
Yeah.
And every time the circle got smaller, he would just keep building up and keep building forward until there was two people left, him and some guy. The guy had no idea where he was, and he just looked down and sniped him. And I'm like, see, that is why I couldn't play that game.
Yeah.
That in and of itself right there.
That would infuriate me.
Yeah. I'd have a broken monitor. I'd punch it.
There was like a circle graph.
Yeah. And what stops people from doing that? Nothing.
Yeah. I saw this like meme. It was like a circle graph of Fortnite, and it was like 99% of the times you die in Fortnite is from BS, and 1% is from skill. But I do enjoy Fortnite a lot. It's fun. It's fun. But oh yeah, you have anything else?
I was
Darkside,
saying like to his Dr. Lupo story. I seen a similar one of Ninja doing the same thing, telling the story, and then like he built the room and then like deleted the floor, and the guy fell into like a pit trap. Like it's just shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking. And that's all. Just, I don't have to watch the first half of the match. Just, can I fast forward to the end? Yeah, just give me the end.
Yeah. All right. Joker, your most fun this week in video games.
Monster Hunter, definitely. I've been enjoying the hell out of Monster Hunter. And I use the insect glaive in that game. And it's essentially like, if you get good with it, it's like nothing touches you. You can't get touched. Yeah. Like, I see everybody's like, oh, the charge blade, yada, yada, yada. And don't get me wrong. Like, if you use the charge blade, you're a more skilled person than I am. But running around with the insect glaive and, like, getting the 3 buffs on it and then, like, bouncing off monsters as you're, like, spinning around. It's the funnest thing in the world. Other than that, playing Warframe. I know, gasp, shock, Destiny podcast said Warframe.
Dude, you could say it.
But because a lot of people have wanted my opinion on that, and I'm still making my way through the star chart, but I've been playing with my best friend and my wife. and I'm running Ember, which is like the most no skill frame in the game, and it's like you press a button and like everything dies. Like literally, you use World on Fire and you're just like going around in like the early levels, and everything just dies. And he uses Necros, which when you use Necros for, he can revive a bunch of minions that have died. And then my wife's playing Frost, so it's just like everything's dying, and it's really fun. We get drunk, we're laughing, you know. It's just it's a good time.
Great. And JRAM, you're most fun this week.
What do you think I've been playing, Jay?
The Division.
Absolutely.
Nice.
That game is so awesome. I wish Bungie would just copycat what they're doing. Like just copy and paste.
Yeah.
So I'm at a point now in the game where I reached max level, which is level 30. And I guess their power level or light level, whatever you want to call it, I think goes up to like 287 or 286, something like that. It's in like the 280s. And I'm at the point now where I'm getting all these gear sets, and I'm accumulating so many gear sets that I'm starting to unlock special talents and perks. When you're wearing like, you know, if you wear like 2 pieces of gear, you may get a 5% increase in damage. 3 pieces of gear, you get the 5% increase in damage. Plus, for every kill, you get 3% of your health back. And then if you get 4 pieces of gear, like this one, I forget the name of it. If you get 4 pieces of gear, you get the 2 previous bonuses, and if somebody throws a grenade at you, you automatically defuse the grenade, and that grenade goes into your inventory.
What?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So it's like, and there's 14 of these sets, so there's so much.
Monster Hunter does something similar. If you have like 2 pieces of gear, I believe it's either 2 or 3. You get a stat bonus or like a perk bonus from that set.
Yeah, and I think Bungie is trying to do something like that with the whole mod system right now, where you know you get a 3% decrease in damage when you're popping your super or something like that.
Oh, the Masterworks, yeah.
Right. So they're on the tip of the iceberg, but hopefully they're looking at other games and going, okay, let's see what they're doing and how can we bring that into our universe.
Yeah.
You know, because obviously you don't want them to copy and paste, but
right.
I would be cool with that.
Well, I think one of the problems with Bungie doing something like that is the entire sandbox would need rebalance.
Absolutely.
This would be a Division, Plains of Eidolon. I probably said that wrong. Commitment. This would be, you know, and they'd have to do it for free. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
This would have to be a free update. You want to ingratiate yourself back to the player base, do something like this, fix the game phenomenal. Just from the ground up, and then go, we're sorry, here.
Yeah.
And I mean, Chris Barrett, I said that wrong too.
No, it's right.
I said it wrong in a lot of videos, so I just get corrected. He is trying. He's got his live team, and I mean, it's a relatively small team, even if it's 40, 50 people. But he's trying, man.
Yeah.
Like I got to give credit where credit is due. He's trying. Like he's doing what he can. He's checking off boxes.
Yeah, and that's what I meant. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, me?
Anybody. Or I'm going to take over.
He's like the cleanup crew. He's like coming in, kind of like cleaning up the mess that was left over from the previous management. I hate to say it, but
that got to be. How shitty's that got to be? You finally, like, Destiny 1 comes out, right?
Yeah.
And year 2, they make the live team to sustain it and to do updates and yada yada yada. And so Chris comes in and he's like head the live team and he's like doing these cool events and you got the Festival of Cost, which we could make fun of and yada yada yada. But I mean, we did have SRL. SRL was cool.
Yep.
Then Age of Triumph. I don't think anybody's going to complain about Age of Triumph.
Love Age of Triumph. SRL, I could care less.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool from they made all these maps.
Yeah.
They retuned, all these the way sparrows functioned. The first one, what happened to sparrow flipping?
Can't do it anymore.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
forgot about that. Yeah.
But here's my gripe. All right, think about all the time and effort and manpower and resources that went into SRL and redesigning, like you said, Joker, the sparrows and how they move and everything. Why couldn't they just make more strikes?
Yep. No, I agree.
Yeah,
Well, because
I think that blows my mind.
the way we actually have an idea of the way their tools work. Their tools are really good at creating a shell environment. And they show that if you go back and watch the Pathways Out of Darkness, kind of like preview, or maybe it's the one before that, where you get a small clip of the way their tools work. It's really good at creating environments. Everything else, go fuck yourself.
And you know what? That's the way it seems, because you even said it. You mentioned it earlier. We have these big worlds, but they just feel lifeless. And I'll be honest with you, they feel the same exact way that D1 felt. The only difference, D1 was smaller, so it felt a little bit more alive. Whereas, in D2, the worlds are so much larger. Case in point, Inverted Spire Strike. After I love that strike. One of my favorites. I don't know why, but after you go through the cave, you go past the Vex waterfall. You go down into the cave. You fight the Vex off right there. Then you jump down those two big pillars where that was the first time we saw the Cabal with the axes and shit like that.
Yep.
As soon as you drive down there into the big battlefield, there is so much open space there, and there are little pockets of enemies. I was expecting, as I'm driving down there, to see missiles and bombs and grenades and shit all over the place. And you had to fight your way through that.
My bad. There's a version of that strike where a tank spawns.
Every once in a while, yeah. And
every once in a blue moon.
I've tried to fit the tank into that little thruster. It just doesn't fit. I've tried my hardest. And what's the other strike? Who the other strike? The one where it's on Earth. You gotta fight. Dealer. What's that?
The Arms Dealer.
Arms Dealer is a fun strike.
Yeah, Arms Dealer. That's not the fallen guy who disappears, right?
That's not on Earth.
That's on Nessus. I hate
okay,
that.
perfect.
That's Exodus Crash.
Yes, then it's the Arms Dealer. A tank will spawn there also.
Okay. Yeah,
every once in a while. As soon as you come out, and it opens up where you can see the big Cabal ship and everything.
Yeah.
If you come out and make an immediate right, sometimes there's a tank there, and that is badass to go through that whole part.
Yeah, with the
you
tank.
just obliterate everything. And why don't I don't know why it doesn't spawn more. Maybe it's such a small random chance, or it's maybe something that you do. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But like that makes it fun. They need to do more fun things like that.
But going back to the Inverted Spire Strike.
Yes.
I do think that is probably the most Destiny strike in the game. Definitely, probably my favorite. But I do think, and actually I ragged on it a lot in my beta video, come to think of it. But I do think like you could drop in the players at the battleground and not change like the rest of the strike is intact. Like it is padded out, and I feel like that's the thing with a lot of strikes. It's like, oh, people get through the strikes too fast. Well, let's just add a lot of open space.
Yeah. I mean, you could definitely zoom past a lot of that shit. And once again, with and I'm sure we'll get to this in a second here, but with them adding in the score or the strike scoring and everything, the Nightfall, whatever.
Yeah.
They're still trying to mold us into playing the way they want us to play their game instead of just putting everything out there and saying, do your thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're still trying to say, no, here's the gun. There's the enemy in front of you. Just point and shoot. And it's just like, is that how little you think of our intellectual ability?
Yeah. Well, before we dive into all of that, let's dive into our Trials of the Nine talk, because the numbers is a bit depressing this week. Well, it's a new record low setting record. It was countdown on the Fortress. There's under 200,000 matches played. Under 100,000 Guardians went flawless.
Wow.
Under 20,000 Guardians went flawless. Under 5 million total kills. And yeah, so we play a little game here on the show where we guess how many kills a certain weapon received in the Trials of the Nine in the previous weekend. So Joker, have you seen the Price is Right? I'm pretty sure you have.
Jay,
right?
we need to change this game.
No. This week is fun. Trust me.
But instead of like number of kills, can we just try to guess how many people played?
The problem is I seen at least a percentage graph earlier. Somebody tweeted out to me.
Oh, you cheated a little bit.
Well, I didn't know about this.
Okay.
So
you should have said anything then.
Right? Well, I'm being honest.
Well, the kill numbers is pretty interesting this week.
Are they?
Say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know Uriel's gift, at least what I saw. Uriel's gift was like 15% of all kills. It's like the top one. So
yeah, it is. It was the most used weapon last weekend in Trials of the
Nine. It's the best weapon in the best PvP weapon in the game.
Yeah, basically. So again, so the highest number you guys could bid is like 1 million kills, and the lowest number you could bid is like 100. Yeah, and the lowest number you could bid is 100,000.
Do you remember when
I did say it is depressing?
Oh my god! Do you remember when like in D1 what was it, like Thorn or Last Word? It would have like 15 million.
Yeah. All right. So JRAM, I'll let you go first.
All right. So I can't go over 1 million.
No.
And no less than 100,000.
Yeah.
666,667.
All right. Joker.
I'm gonna go with 300,000.
300,000. All right.
Yeah, I'm lowballing it.
All right. So Uriel's gift received.
I hope I beat you.
702,000. JRAM, you won.
Okay.
You won, JRAM. Yeah.
Yes!
That's pretty depressing. I'll say that.
That is.
702,000 kills.
When I pull up my kill tracker, Ghost, I think that's how many kills I've gotten.
Yeah.
And this is all 3 platforms. Like, let's not forget that. All 3 platforms.
So, wow. That is
I think
just-
that's my midnight queue. Just that's how many.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
and I know it's just so depressing.
Yeah.
It really is. In ranked games, it's not going to fix anything.
It's not gonna.
If the sandbox update is good, but they have to take out that team shooting mechanic.
Dude, they got to get. It's the weapon systems. It's
true.
Well, they're doing something with player movement, so that's good. But it's the weapon systems. It's the rewards. There's so many more fundamental issues.
And movement, yeah. I don't know if they can even change the weapon system back to the way it used to be back in
will never
D1.
change.
Actually, they could. Because all it would be is just look in the. You guys have some access to the
API.
what weapons are in the game and API.
Yeah.
All it would be is changing a number, a tag, where like a placement tag. All they got to do is go. In fact, I remember hearing something. I think I don't remember what stream it was on or whatever. But in the computer version of Destiny 2, the PC version, if you go into the back end menus, weapons that are in the secondary slot are still called special weapons.
Huh.
Yeah, but think of it this way, because I'm gonna try to play devil's advocate here with you.
Right.
Let's say you say it's that easy, right? Where they just change a number and then all of a sudden, voila, snipers are in the energy slot again. Okay. Think about how that would change the Callus fight.
Because no, I completely agree.
Okay, good. Because the way I'm thinking about it is, okay, let's say
they'd have to rebalance the entire game.
Well, you'd have to make primaries and I guess more beneficial.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the I guess the ideal setup, and this differs a little bit, but if you really think about what a lot of teams do with Callus, it's auto rifle, cold heart, and then a rocket or merciless or something like that. If you were to take cold heart away and then force people to choose, and maybe they could still choose cold heart, maybe that's still going to be in that special weapon slot, I don't know. But when I think about if they revert back to the original, then all those sidearms were special from the start, but all the auto rifles and scout rifles, now they're pushed up into the kinetic.
Well, I would have to imagine that they would definitely look at stuff like tracer rifles, SMGs, stuff like that.
But they're coded as an auto rifle.
Yeah. So
and this game doesn't work with coding.
Well, I mean, we had like weird weapons in Destiny 1. We had No Land Beyond, which was a primary sniper. We had so they could tag that. But I imagine I make it sound simple by saying, oh, they could just change a number, which it is probably just at the end of the day changing a couple of values.
Right.
Okay. But what is that? What's the knock-on effect of that? Because that was a problem Destiny 1 had a lot. It was they would go in and they would change something. Okay. And then it would have a knock-on effect.
Yeah.
And they never rebalance the sandbox in a way that address that. And there's always a problem. There's always something. And I do think a lot of the knock-on effect problems did come from the community feeling robbed. So, like, say your favorite weapon's Thorn, okay? And people complain and people yell and Thorn gets nerfed, Okay, and now Last Word's the big thing. Well, then the people who like Thorn are going to try to get Last Word nerfed. You know? And we see this with Hunters, right? And I'm picking on Hunters. But Titan Skating, when Titan Skating was announced, it's like the common argument is Titans shouldn't be the fastest class in the game. Hunters should be the fastest class in the game.
Right.
It's not an argument I prescribe to, because everybody has relatively the same health value, especially in Destiny 2. You know, it's not like, and even in Destiny 1, like, okay, one more bullet from an auto rifle. Really?
Yeah, that's garbage.
Yeah, like max armor, a couple more bullets. Come on. You know, Last Word's still gonna, 3/4 tap you. You know, a Hawkmoon's still gonna 3 tap you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a argument that I prescribe to, but I can see where people have this like, no, you're taking something from me. It goes back to the psychology of buffs and nerfs. Okay, if you take something from somebody, they feel robbed. Okay, but if you buff something, okay, even if you buff it and like people don't like the buff, they don't feel robbed. They're like, right. Yeah, this was a little too much. Yeah, they're more inclined to accept a buff that went out of control than a nerf that went too far.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what? Oh, my bad.
Oh no, I was gonna say they have 8 months to figure it out. Yeah. It's just
And the Callus fight, actually, if we go back to the Destiny being rebooted in the 11th hour, wouldn't the raid have already been finished?
Yeah, you would think so.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. Hold on. I gave them a lot of credit back in my early videos. I was like, okay, they've been developing Destiny for, since Destiny 1 launched. They've been developing Destiny 2 or in some fashion.
Yeah.
And then they had so you would imagine that they started development on the DLCs towards the end of Destiny 1's original development. Okay. And then come to find out, like, they started development on Curse of Osiris, like,
a few months before
Destiny
launch.
Destiny 2 was going certified.
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
So I give them a lot of credit a lot of the time. I'm like, this just makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do it like this?
Yeah. I feel like the raid, like the story that we got in D2 was definitely not the intended story, maybe for the game. I think it was definitely changed and watered down, and the raid and all that was changed. But I have to say, the raid is beautiful. It looks great.
Oh yeah,
I do have to give them props on that. But
again, the design team, the art team,
amazing,
phenomenal,
amazing.
Yeah. Oh my god, phenomenal.
Yeah.
And again, that's back to what you're talking about the story. If you like that lore book I was talking about, you should see if you can find the scans online. Mm-hmm. It's a collector's edition, so I don't feel wrong saying find the scans. You should see if you can find the scans or borrow it from somebody if you have it, because it's really fascinating. And actually, there's kind of a couple of stories going on in the lore. If you look at what's going on with Callus, like this book tells you one thing, then the weapons tell you kind of another, and then some of the armor and whatnot say kind of something else. And in fact, there was some armor that was in the system. I think it was the Prestige hard mode armor for the normal raid, and it was it said one thing, and then they changed it, and it's completely different now.
Yeah. See, when I got that collector's edition, there's a couple things I thought. First, with how he outlined all of his targets, I thought that was going to be a horde mode.
Yeah.
Okay. Tangent. We have essentially Caligula meets Nero. Okay. As the Cabal Emperor, right? Mm-hmm. And he invites us out to his grandiose palace, right? To do these challenges and to participate in these games. How is there not a Prison of Elders type horde mode here?
I don't know.
How's there not an arena where you have you could have his big old face in the air in the skybox, and he's just watching you, and there's different. Oh, it could look like the Colosseum. Oh my God, that'd be so cool.
It's there. I mean, you definitely when you're walking through, that whole arena, or not the whole. I don't want to say arena, but when you're going through the raid, you definitely have that feel of oh my God, this is like Rome and everything back, back in the day. And
it's definitely supposed to be opulent. Yeah.
Yeah. And my other thought after reading that little book was towards the end of the book, he says a couple of things where it struck me. He says he's been to the far ends of the earth or far ends of the universe, and he's seen things that like would scare the hell out of you, and it scared him, and he came back.
Yeah, the nothing. Nothing.
One of my thoughts or theories was that he's not recruiting us to go hunt these people. He's trying to recruit us because he knows what's coming, and he's afraid.
And he wants to power us up.
Right. In other words, even though we view Callus as the bad guy right now, I don't know if he really is the bad guy. Maybe
I don't think he's a bad guy though.
Well, you think because Gaul and everything, he was connected to Gaul somehow, right. And we're trying. I mean, the first time you go into the raid and you start shooting at him, you're thinking he's the bad guy. Turns out he's just a robot and all that other stuff. Mm-hmm. I think this is a situation where it's like, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Mm. And he knows what's coming. Those little Dorito ships, he knows what they are. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to get a team, because let's be honest, he doesn't want to die. He wants to go back to his, he wants to go back to the Cabal and take over again. Mm-hmm. But he needs our help. Unfortunately, you get no sense of that anywhere because
he just kind of shows up.
Yeah. Anyways, that's my little theory.
Yeah.
Maybe you can run with it.
No, so running. No, what I would have actually liked, if I kind of to go back to an earlier question, like if I was given free reign over Destiny, what I would have done is I would have made the Red War a year-long thing. Okay, like you would not have beaten you had had all these generals and stuff, so you'd have like some semblance of accomplishment as you progress through the game, but you wouldn't have beaten Gaul until like the end, and you wouldn't have gotten your powers from the Shard.
Yeah,
you would have been in the middle of a war between Callus and Gaul, and you're just Earth, and the Traveler is just Gaul's just trying to get another weapon to throw at Callus, and that's why he's here. That's why he invaded. That's and that's you kind of get the semblance of that's what's going on, within the story, but it never it's not the story. It's the story, but it's not the story. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, you're right. This story to me felt like we got the band back together.
Yeah.
That's it. Go play another Led Zeppelin song for a commercial. That's how it felt.
So I would have had it and then you would have had to go after Rasputin for help. You would have had to go after Osiris for help. And then the DLCs would have been essentially kind of what they did with Destiny 1, where it's okay, Osiris helped you. Now Osiris is calling in a favor. Mm-hmm. Rasputin helped you, even though we've saved his ass I don't know how many times at this point. He's like Destiny's version of Princess Peach.
Yeah. Always going away.
But always needing rescuing, even though he's the most powerful entity in the galaxy. If he needs rescued again, I'm gonna lose my shit. Wait for that review. But and then you get these things, and that's what the DLCs would have been, is kind of paying that back or moving the plot forward with their participation in the story. And then DLC 3 would have been, or the expansion, the Taken King, whatever, would have been actually dealing with Gaul, dealing with Callus. You would have had this year-long build-up with all these events, and just you wouldn't have gotten the city back. That would have been DLC 3.
Yeah.
You would have been on the farm the entire time, because what's the point of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a cool-ass idea. I mean, it really is. I mean, think about how cool would it be to get Osiris back. You go out and find him, and then he hooks you up with his new Vex technology that actually helps you fight them back.
Yeah.
Yep. And he becomes the speaker. He becomes the pseudo speaker while we don't know what's going on with the speaker, and then we find out the speaker's dead, and Osiris has to kind of deal with that.
Yeah.
Because he was his mentor, which is what annoys me about the comic, because they don't show any of that relationship.
Yeah. Hopefully you get the job.
So let's dive into the investor call that did happen yesterday, February 8th. It was pretty interesting. So we found out that Destiny 2 was the second highest grossing console game in North America in 2017. We learned that, we already knew this, that we will be getting a major content release later this year, which I'm guessing, of course, the fall of 2018. And then here's a really interesting point that they said. They said that them meaning Activision, the attach rate on Destiny 2's first expansion was higher than Destiny 1's, which is a bit debatable. I will say that I'm confused as what they mean by the attach rate. Do they mean
I can
like
actually explain this?
Yeah.
Because I worked at a GameStop for a few years, and if they're using it the way I think they're using it, it's the add-on, the DLC. It's the people that bought the game. How many people bought the season passes?
Yeah.
So the added DLC attach rate, or even, I don't know if they would weight it out this far to being something like microtransactions, like this amount of people who bought Destiny also bought this amount of microtransactions, but they may be. But I'm thinking it's more to do with the DLC. I think the season pass sold like hotcakes.
Yeah, it did.
Well, of course it did. Well, because this was the second iteration of Destiny, so of course it's going to be higher.
Yeah, because
and even if they're using attach rate as in people, players engaged.
Yeah.
Yes, I would still say of course it's going to be higher because we were expecting a brand new version of Destiny, and in my personal opinion, we didn't get that brand new version. We basically got a prettier version of D1.
Yeah.
What we got, at least in my opinion, what we got was an answer to the critical response of vanilla Destiny 1. Not an evolution of what we had by the end of Taken King. And I say Taken King, not even Rise of Iron, because, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt when the development on the game started. So it's like, okay, if I give them, this amount of rope to hang themselves with, how will they do it? No, but so it's like you give them a fair hearing, you give them a fair starting point. Taking King, that's fair. But no, it is definitely everything that is Destiny 2 is a gut reaction to the criticism of Destiny 1 vanilla.
Yep.
Yeah, I will say that according to this earnings call, D2 did great. It sold a lot of copies. The season pass did well and all that. When they brought up, someone asked Eric Hushberg about the player base. His answer was, it was a really, really long answer, and I'm not going to read that here. But basically, he said that it's an issue and they are looking at it. Yeah, it is an issue right now.
Oh, absolutely. I get maybe this is just me being cynical when it comes to stuff like this. But when I see movies, or if I see like a band coming out, or even a video game have these massive marketing campaign pushes where they bring in celebrities and everything, I get really, really worried because in my opinion, because to me, it seems like the people know this really isn't that great and they need as many upfront sales as they can get.
Oh yeah, inside baseball from, again, working at GameStop.
Yeah.
Managing a GameStop. That's exactly what it is. They'll do a hard marketing push, and that'll be the only thing that people are told to. And you want to go in and punch a GameStop employee when they do this, but I mean, that's how they get their hours. So, there's a very, you can see a sign of desperation.
Yeah.
Is what it is. And there's definitely, it's not confident. There's not confidence. There's definitely more money pushed in pushing it and hoping that it get, especially if you see an embargo on a review that is after the game comes out. Oh no. If you see a big marketing push and an embargo, it's fucked.
Now
the ship is burning.
There's one thing that they did say that, dang it, I did lose the quote, but when they were talking about the player base, they said that they see an issue and they are going to address it in expansion 2 and the major content launch later this year. And that has me thinking, well, it's like they already knew that there will be issues in the base game and they're using these expansions to fix it. That's basically what he said. I'm going to try here to look for the quote, but that's not good because they're going back down the same path as D1. Ship a half-baked game. I don't mean to use your words, J-Ram, that you texted me, but yeah, a half-baked game, and then they use these expansions to finish cooking the game, I guess.
Yeah. Well, number one, when I read, because I didn't listen to the earnings call, but I did read about it. To me, it was, you could literally take that and compare it to the earnings call for D1. It's the same thing. This isn't anything new. So when I read it, I'm like, this is the same. It's doing business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Like they knew this was going to happen, so they needed the hard marketing campaign. They needed, and Antonio Brown to do his emote dance. They needed, the big time music and everything, because at the end of the day, they knew it's not done yet, and we need to get this copy into enough people's hands where they can Activision and Bungie can sit there and go, you know what? If they're pissed off, who cares? Because at least they got the game in their hand, and then we can fix it later and try to get some of these people back. You know what? Let's be honest here. Let's really be honest. Bungie they're very lucky that they created a game like this where they have the ability to update the game later.
Yeah.
This shit would never have flied with Nintendo. Like, your game had to work.
Yeah.
And it had to be perfect, because if not, that was the end of that franchise.
Yeah. Look at Dead Space 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dead Space 3. Dude, that killed Visceral. Like, the backlash on that killed Visceral.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even necessarily a terrible game. I mean, it had its problems, but microtransactions. But I mean, that game killed. I mean, EA killed Ultima. Like, I will never forgive them for that. But yeah, it's. I mean, we talk about EA running things in the ground. Look at go back and look at the history of Ultima.
So
it's actually really interesting.
I do want to read the quote right here. Okay. It says, and I quote, that we have a great expansion coming in May and a major expansion coming out at the end of the year. And those events have always been opportunities for us to re-engage our community and win back the players who have churned out. That's like, so they're using these opportunities, which, yes, it is a good thing, but this happened in D1. They're using these opportunities to fix what they did and to bring back those players. And I hate to say this, but I think now we're at a point where I think some of those players are fed up and they may not come back.
Yeah. Well, I don't even mean to be the eternal cynic, but that's just PR bullshit. Like, that's just what he has to tell his, the shareholders. And again, they know that they're, people like us are looking at it and we're like, okay, maybe he has confidence in it. Mm-hmm. But you have to exude confidence when you're selling a product. Yeah. Or like, is he going to come out and say, man,
exactly, yeah,
man, these DLCs, like they're going to be like more of the same, and so we really hope that it like picks up.
Yeah.
Bungie's got some really cool stuff in the oven, as updates. So he's gonna come out and he's gonna sell it.
Yeah, because like shareholders and analysts and people on Wall Street lately have ripped apart D2. We've talked about it in the past few weeks. So if I have to rate this earnings call, I will have to say it was like a 5 out of 10 or 6 out of 10. Like it not too exciting, because again, they have to do like a cleanup crew right now. So I'm really interested to see what happens in the next few months on that.
Yeah, they just didn't tell us anything that we didn't already know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about Crimson Days. Crimson Days will be coming back next Tuesday on February 13th. It is a week-long event, and it's going to bring a 2v2 Crucible playlist. It's going to bring a brand new map called the Burnout, which is kind of like a reskin of the Burning Shrine, which I'm excited for, because the Burning Shrine is a great map. So I'm really, really excited to see them bring in that map into the game. So yeah, are you guys excited for Crimson Days? They did change it up a bit. You cannot directly purchase a Crimson Days engram, which I think was a smart move on their behalf. Every time you will level up during the event, you will receive a illuminated engram and a Crimson engram. Again, a smart move right there. If you do specific things such as the raid, the Nightfall, play in the Crimson Days playlist, you will receive a specific reward, such as a sparrow from the raid or raid layer. You can get an ornament, and then from the Nightfall strike you can get an emote. So that's really good. And they also have like a knockoff effect on the engram, where trying to prevent duplicates. Let's see how well that turned out, because we heard that before from them, preventing duplicates and things like that. So I'm interested to see how that turns out. So are you guys excited for Crimson Days? Joker, you first.
Well, the shader is red and black, and we don't have a Fate Unfeuding shader in the game. So that's what my Titan in Destiny 1 uses. So I'm at least excited for that. But as far as like the event, so I will say it's a better step with the cash shop.
Mm-hmm.
But to say that it's like you're not going to be purchasing engrams, yes, but no, because you can still buy the stuff for silver dust. So there is an incentive if you don't have silver dust. Bright dust, silver dust, same difference.
Well, I thought silver dust you have to purchase. Like, isn't that the thing?
You're talking about the silver coins. I'm talking about the dust.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was confused right there. My apologies.
Yeah, I worded it wrong. The silver dust was Destiny 1. The bright dust is Destiny 2.
Okay, yeah, all right.
So if you don't have any of it, and like they have something in the store that you want, well, you're gonna buy an illuminated engram, and you're gonna dismantle the stuff so you can buy what you want. So it doesn't necessarily take the cash up. I would actually rather the direct purchase for silver than bright dust, because there's still a quasi gambling mechanic. Because I mean, people have done really great charts on like what you get as far as silver dust or bright dust value from the engrams, and what it's like min and max and average. And so it's still like, if you don't have any, but you like want the shader or the sparrow or the weapon skins, right? And they have it there, and you don't have it. Well, you know, and I mean, it's just a week event, right? Like,
yeah, it's a week long. Yeah.
So I think it's better. I don't know. I'm like, I would rather you just be able to spend money if they're gonna have it in the shop to where you can buy it directly, like Warframe or like any of these other games, you know, like Titanfall 2. Just let me circumvent the stupid in-game currency and let me just buy it. Like, if that's what you're going to do, where you're going to go, let me just buy what I want. Especially in a week-long event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, come on. But I mean, I'm happy to see the multiplayer map. That's one of my favorite maps. That was the funnest, the best, funnest, whatever. Trials of Osiris map.
Love that map.
I love that map for Trials. And a lot of people are probably like, Joker, it sucks. But I'm like, no, dude, I love it. The game type, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, it is just a doubles event, Crucible doubles event. Yeah, I am happy that they put some rewards in the Nightfall. They put a reward in the raid. You know, so
That's
you
good.
know, but let's see an evolution of this. Whatever the next event is, St. Patrick's Day. You know, but
Yeah.
I do think it was a change. I think everything was. I think it was going to be like the Dawning, and this is what they put together last minute. So I will give them a little more leeway than I probably should, especially with as much as I've torn them in the past for the other events. So I will say it looks like they're trying. It looks like they're throwing things against the wall and hoping something sticks with the community. I will give them that.
All right, J-Ram.
Yeah, I won't be playing it. I mean, not to you know be the crusher of dreams here, but it's PvP. PvP is not.
I forgot.
It's garbage. You know, it's a week long. It's a band-aid. I think you're going to see even lower player involvement than you would. Yep.
Yeah.
Like, in other words, the rewards. That's one of the major problems with this game is the rewards just aren't that great.
Yeah.
So I think Monster Hunter, I think Fortnite, I think PUBG, I think those games are definitely putting a dent into the Bungie player base.
Yeah.
So am I going to play it? No. Will I do the Nightfall if somebody needs a third?
Yeah.
You know, I only go on right now to do, well, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing that. Prestige mode?
Yeah. I will admit, I have yet to try the Ray Layer, and that's not because I don't want to. It's just because my friends aren't playing.
I have all the gear already.
Nice.
Yeah, for every character. So there's no need for me to do that other than, hey, can you help us out with this? Yes, I will help you out. But as far as me trying to organize a team and everything, I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something I just don't want to go through.
See you in the fall.
And to kind of like walk back, have we? Is the Nightfall the next thing
Yes.
on the list?
Yeah.
So I guess to kind of like segue and wade into that a little bit.
I like that.
Not to steal your thunder, but the reward the reward discussion kind of like actually like leads into that, because they're doing the Nightfall scoring, right? Okay, great. What do I get? Remember when they brought scoring to Destiny 1?
It was fun for the first 2 weeks.
Well, not even that.
Well,
Not even that.
they had a reward tied to it. Also,
Exactly.
the icebreaker, and it was super rare. Like you did the bounties, and then you did like the strike
Oh, yeah, that
scoring
is
thing,
right.
and
That
that,
is right.
and when
And they had the really cool
Yeah.
armor, the gold-plated armor with all the filigree on it.
yeah,
Like, there's a reason to do it. Okay, and the same thing because they're doing the raid challenges as well. Just run across all of these. But they why? I don't care. Like I'm gonna play a harder version of the raid for some armor ornaments.
Yeah. That doesn't affect. Yeah, it doesn't change the way the armor, reacts. Yeah, functions in the world. I just don't get it.
This isn't Fatebringer. This isn't like Visions of Confluence. This isn't like a really cool exotic version of these where it's got damage.
Am I wrong by thinking that they just don't want to hurt anybody's feelings? Like there were a lot of maybe there were a lot of people in D1 that said, "Oh, this sucks because I don't have 5 other friends to play with, so I'll never get the Fatebringer. So boo-hoo, this is bullshit." And in D2, it's like you could get everything. You don't even have to go into the raid to get the raid gear. You don't have to play Trials of Osiris, whatever it's called now, the 9, to get all that stuff. Like you don't have to, dude. You don't have to do anything.
Nope.
Other than pay $60.
It's because this game was watered down for those. I think that they were called the tourists of the people who just come in, play a little bit of the game. Like this game was watered down for those type of people. And I hate to go back from earlier in the show, but again, back to Mark Noseworthy, I will say he called in a lot of shots on this because he was the project lead, and a project lead is the one that works closely with the devs. He's worked closely on the project, and Luke Smith, even though he is game director, he has to work with Activision, the marketing and all of that. So again, Mark Noseworthy did have a huge hand in this. I'm not saying he's a terrible guy, but I'm just saying he is a casual gamer. Luke Smith is a guy who has thousands of hours in World of Warcraft. He was a diehard World of Warcraft fan who grind that game a lot, and you think he would come out with something like this if he had more of a say? I'm not saying he didn't have any say, but more of a say in this. I just want to
I think this is the first time in the TWAB that they used the language, "We don't expect everybody to get this." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're expecting not everybody
it's not
to get
worth
this.
getting.
But you're right, and that's we can have
That's a
that
whole
debate.
other argument.
Yeah, we can have that debate. But they use the language, "We don't expect everybody to get this." That's the first time they really ever said that. And hey, one of the things that forced me to make friends in the community to try to go ahead and get better at the game was the fact that Fatebringer, man, you could only get it in one spot, and it was RNG. And if you didn't get it that week, you created other characters so you could have 3 chances at it. If you kept playing the game, eventually I think you would have gotten in.
Well, it's not even that. Or not only that. I have a video that outlines this called "Elites versus Casuals," or like casuals versus elites, or like the argument for elitism, something along those lines. Anyways, and I think that the one thing that Destiny 2 is missing with the reward system is aspiration. There's nothing aspirational about this game. Because in Destiny, I don't know, maybe I'm weird, but in Destiny 1, I'd be with my fire team, we'd go to the tower, and they'd be off doing their thing, and I didn't need to do anything. So I'm like scrolling through the menu and seeing what people have equipped. Right? I mean, maybe again, like I'm weird, but I'm like looking at the Ias Luna and I'm like, oh, it's a god roll. Oh, I want it so bad. Or, I'm looking at the LDR and I'm like, come on. You get this, you suck. Like, or something. I don't do that in Destiny 2.
Well, everything is the same. That's
well,
thing.
Well, not only, everything is the same,
Yeah.
but it's not even like there's if I inspected somebody, they would have something that I couldn't get. There's not that. There's not like, oh, this guy has the exotic Fatebringer that, like, I'm for elitism. I am for, and everybody's like, well, elitism just causes toxicity. No, toxic people cause toxicity. Like,
exactly.
Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Exactly. Toxic people are going to be toxic, and you know what? Sometimes they are really good at games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll never be as good as Enkuch or Triple Wreck at PvP, and I'm fine with that.
If they had if they said these are the raid layers and you had to use like 2 sidearms and a shotgun to clear the raid layer, okay, that's insane. But if you did it, you got Fatebringer 3.0. I'd be like, oh, I'm never gonna. And you did it in like 20 minutes. I'm like, I'm never gonna get that. But wow, I'm gonna admire everybody who has.
So let's talk about the raid layer changes. So they're changing it to where like you have to use like a set loadout, and it's gonna have a special modifier and things like that. Does that make sense to you guys? It is a set loadout, right?
Well, it's not. It's an optional loadout that you can equip yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That I would imagine you have to do that before you go into the raid, and you're not allowed to deviate from it. But it's optional. It's kind of like challenge mode. Like you don't have to do challenge mode. And you could still do the raid without missing anything.
Did they say you get anything from it? Because I'm looking through the TWAB, but I don't see like there's no special rewards. It's just a challenge added on, right?
As far as we know now,
it's just a challenge.
I'll give them the caveat. As far as we know of now, we don't.
So,
it says here it says the goal of the new prestige mode is simple: provide new ways to engage with raid content each week, new ways to engage with different weapons in your vault, and new rewards to chase. Okay. So we are going to be getting new things, but here's the issue. Here's the major problem.
It's prestige raid, so of course
if it's only cosmetic, if it's another ornament, people are not going to do it.
Or an emblem. Works.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit.
A rare emblem.
I saw that emblem. I saw the emblem that gave you the blue thing, and I'm like,
yeah,
I don't care. I'm not gonna grind for that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. This is the same argument as everybody was bitching about things are locked behind Eververse. And I said, listen, okay, so you bring the Ghost and the Sparrows out. Is that going to make your game better? No. Because those rewards are not, they don't change the way you play.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't.
Yep.
So, for example, for
stop bitching about Eververse.
No.
I don't think Eververse should even exist. I don't like microtransactions in fully priced games anyways.
Yeah.
And not to steal no, I'm not stealing because I'm gonna quote him. Skill up. I think he nailed it. Loot boxes are predatory in nature. They prey on the weak. They do.
Well, I think he took that from Jim Sterling, so it's okay.
Maybe, yeah. But I saw it in a skill up video, therefore he gets the credit.
Yeah, there you go. And I say it a lot too. And
good.
I think we all like we all heard that and we're like, that's what it. That's exactly what it is.
I'm actually gonna ask you a question later on that, Joker. But back to the rate layers. So for example, a modifier that they can give is marksman, and it's like precision damage is increased. Landing a precision shot grants 1 ammo directly to the magazine, and then the required loadout would be a hand cannon, scout rifle, and then a linear fusion rifle in that order. It seems cool, a cool concept. Again, it looks cool on paper, but let's see how it plays out in game. Because they have a lot of great ideas that look cool on paper, such as guided games, but it doesn't play too well in game.
So one of my things with this is I don't think this. I like if this is an actual system that goes, unless you have this equipped, you cannot enter this raid. If that's how it is, that's actually that's interesting that the system exists. I don't think it's good for PvE.
But what that just be locked loadouts?
Be good for, well, so if like the loadout things, right? So if you went in and it's like to enter this, your entire team has to have a scout rifle, a fusion rifle, and this equipped, whatever, So and then it doesn't let you enter until everybody has that equipped, and then if you're doing the special mode, and then it locks the loadout. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about that for PvE. PvP, on the other hand, now we're getting competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Because then we can, do other things than gentleman's agreement to ban things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then even then we can get weird, because we can be like, okay, we're gonna lock slot 1 to have nothing or to have no ammo or something like that. They can do stuff like that, and then it's like, but slot 3, your power weapon slot, is going to have rockets, and you will always have rockets. You'll have infinite ammo rockets, and they could do like rockets playlists. I mean, that's already what's going to happen, but with the changes to heavy ammo. But there's potential if they use it right.
Yeah.
So I'm more excited for the system than I am if it works the way I think it works the way I hope it works. I'm more excited for the system to exist than the current implementation. I think the current implementation is stupid. It's lazy. It's unless there is really, really absurdly good rewards tied to it, nobody's going to care.
Yeah, I agree. If it's cosmetic all over again, give me something like the Division. Let me chase after that fourth piece of gear so I can unlock this special perk that comes with that gear set.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another hidden one after that when you have all 6 equipped.
So it seems like we're still back at the issue of there's more content than progression. And I know we brought that up last week on the podcast, but it seems like that's still like there's just so much content in this game, but there's not enough progression such as rewards. Like there's no meaningful content and things like that. Mark Noseworthy said that back in an Edge magazine article back in August of 2017. So Joker, do you agree with that? Like there's more content than progression currently in the game. Like,
well, it kind of depends on what we're meaning by progression. Because like I feel like I could get through all the content and like be leveled up, and it's like, okay, I've played everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't necessarily think progression is the same thing as reward.
Mm-hmm.
Why do people play Dark Souls? Right? It's a brutally hard game.
Yeah.
It's a brutally hard game. But when I go down into the mouth of some, and this will be a quest that like you don't even have to do, right? Like you go down and you like into the belly of some pit, and there's some dragon with like tendrils coming out of its guts, and like it's got spikes all over it. Why do you go down and fight that? Because it's gonna have cool shit when you kill it.
Gives you badass shit.
Exactly.
That the next time you go fight him, if you do, it's the encounter's a little bit easier for you.
Yep. And that's what Destiny is missing. It's not necessarily, I don't necessarily agree that there's more content than progression. It's that there's not satisfying progression. Okay.
There's something else that D2 is missing, and I don't think I've ever said this, and I've never heard one person talk about this. And I think all D1 players, if you play D1, you can relate to this. And that is when mission 1, mission 2 on Earth, when you finally, after you went to the tower, you learned about everything, and they say, go back to the Cosmodrome and check this shit out. As soon as you spawn into the Cosmodrome, you go to the left, and that is where those 3 knights are. That's where you did a night farm, kill knights on Earth. Yeah. Those 3 knights had question marks above their name because you had to be level 18 to fight them. But when you went down there, you couldn't even do damage to them because your level was so low. What's that?
There's not levels on enemies in Destiny 2.
There's nothing like that.
Yeah.
There is not one place in D2 that as soon as I open up that planet, I couldn't go everywhere and explore. Now, that being said, the idea of exploration is fantastic if there was a reason to explore. But there is no reason to explore. The lost sectors give me no reason whatsoever. Mm-hmm. That being said, if there were these levels and stuff like that, and that was one of the first things I noticed with D2 was, where are the levels at? How come there's not the numbers above their head?
Yeah.
Because
you don't feel powerful, because the power doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, but Jay, if they put the levels up there, maybe that would have played into the power fantasy where right now we're lacking that.
That's true.
So one of Destiny 2's problems, and Destiny 1 had this a little bit as well, is it has a system in it called I think it's called delta scaling. Mm-hmm. And this is like when you're like max level, you're level 400 light, level 40, 400 light or whatever, and you go into like mission 1, you're not like instantly annihilating everything. There's still like it still takes some firepower to do it. If you're even with your with a lower player, because they wanted lower players to be able to play with high level players and not be affected with that. I think that's a totally mistaken way of developing things, and I think that's something that has a problem with if you look at a lot of games nowadays, a lot of RPGs employ this. It's actually the more kind of old school ones where if you go in somewhere where you're not supposed to go, you're gonna get your ass kicked.
Yeah,
and
that should make the player go, man, I really got to get my shit together. I got to do some stuff, because I want to do this. I hear my friends talking about this Nightfall and this raid, and I want to be able to do that.
Yep.
Instead, it's kind of like they just said, here's everything.
Yeah, the hardest part about the Nightfall is the time limit.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad that they're taking away.
It's a false difficulty.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Jay, you're right. I'm glad they're getting rid of it, but they're just replacing it with a scoring system that
is arbitrary.
It's a false difficulty all over again. Like they need to redesign the way that we interact with stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
So just to try to understand your point, so you think that they're having trouble trying to make the game not fun, but I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from and why you don't like the strike scoring.
Well, what happened with year one? Nightfalls got boring, right? So what did they do to try to spice it up? They put scoring in. Scoring was fun at first, but then it died off. Nobody cared about the high score anymore. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, and maybe that was a loot problem or something like that. I don't know.
There's no leaderboard. If there was leaderboards, like that you could see in game,
yeah.
Like if you went up to like the bounty board, right?
Yeah.
And like you could like tab over, and it like brought up like the top players in it. You're like, I kind of like all I got to do is play better.
Call of Duty does it.
All I got to do is get through this mission a little faster, and I could be up there. My name, everybody could see my name.
Yep.
I think there will be a leaderboard, but not in game. I think it's going to be like in the 12 or something.
Then it doesn't matter.
How they used to do.
Then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Jay.
I just gotta put that.
I know. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Because only like a fraction of the community actually goes and reads that.
Yeah.
Most people like go, okay, has More Console made a video on it, or has Bife, well, Bife doesn't make videos on the 12, but has Mesa Sean made a video? Has I made a video? People digest that information from YouTubers way more than they'll go out and like actually go onto it. And this is actually something, if you look at like Warframe or Titanfall, I think Gears of War does it. Why are none of the patch notes or any of the community updates in the game?
Yeah.
Well,
if you go onto Warframe, when you load up Warframe, you have this whole tab of like different things you can like scroll through. It's like things are coming. Here's the most recent update. Yada yada yada. Mm-hmm. Why isn't that in Destiny?
It's actually pretty funny.
They have sorry, I don't mean to.
They
have a system. They have a system to deploy messages. Mm-hmm. We see this with faction rallies, with Iron Banner, with Trials of the Nine every week. So they have the system. This isn't like anything that they've got to like go through. And they have the tab when you like load in. There's like a little thing, and if you go and scroll over it, it goes, "Go to Bungie.net for more information."
Yeah, I was just about to say that. It tells you which build this is, and it says go to Bungie.net.
Why don't just put it in the game?
Jay, think of it this way.
Okay.
Think of it this way. To get back to helping you to understand. And D1, when Nightfalls got boring, or when they were deemed too difficult. People didn't like the getting kicked to orbit thing. So then they changed that, all right? Then when the Nightfalls got boring, okay, they added the strike scoring and stuff like that. And they tried to give you, what was the reward for that? Just an emblem or something like that?
Emblem, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Here, fast forward Destiny 2. Same problem again, and they're giving us the same solution. It's like they didn't learn anything. Now, how cool would this be? Strike scoring, and it's a Nightfall strike, right? You look down at the reward, and it is a chance to get this special mod that changes that gives your better devils an extra perk of explosive rounds, or I'm sorry, a firefly or whatever it is. Now that would give me a reason to grind. If I didn't have better devils, it would give me a reason to go ahead and go get that gun. 2, once I got that gun, it would give me a reason to go ahead and do that specific part of the game because I wanted to get that special thing. This game is just not special yet, and I hope people out there aren't like, oh, J-Ram's he's salty again. I'm saying not special yet because they can do this. It's just take the leap of faith. That's it. What's that?
The Iasaluna grind.
Yeah, like take that leap. If you want static rules, fine. But allow us a little bit of variability within choosing what perks go on there. Because right now, man, the perks. Number one, the perks. Let's be honest. Some of them don't even matter. Scopes. Who gives a shit?
Dragonfly.
I miss the scopes from D1, like the Cyril's PDS. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was a pulse rifle. The SPL-28 was a great scope. I forgot. I think it was like the SPL-12 also. Like there were scopes on these things, and it mattered. It like increased range and things like that. Like those scopes were good. Like I always try to see which scope the gun came with.
Let's not talk about snipers.
Snipers, yeah, my LDR. I had a perfect LDR. Oh my god, it had Eye of the Storm, and I forgot. I think it was Eye of the Storm and Target Acquisition perk. I totally forgot the name of that perk. Hidden Hand. There we go. And it has Short Gaze. It was beautiful. Like I loved scopes like that. And right now in D2, there are no scopes. It only changed like the barrel of the gun or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a direct. That's Bungie's answer, and it's a punt. It's a poor answer to. I didn't get that god roll, therefore I'm pissed off.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, instead of Bungie just, hey, listen, they're sticking to their guns when it comes to not separating PvE and PvP. Stick to your guns with shit like that too.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say this. In the fall of 2018, that expansion has to change this game drastically. It has to really change like the way how Taken King changed it. Like it really has to be changed. And if it's not, I think that's going to be an issue that they're going to have to deal with even more.
If they can't bring back people like Triple Rec and, MTash, all these other, people who stream or make YouTube content, if they can't bring them back, the game's dead.
Yeah.
And to bring them back, they have to. These are, people enjoy going online and onto Twitch and watching these people play Crucible. People enjoy watching people get carried through the trials. People enjoy watching people do raids. Part of it is the YouTube and the Twitch personalities. Okay, but the personality has to like what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's hard to have like a I'm gonna be happy and friendly. You could have all. I mean, maybe I'm just weird. I don't care about like salt in the chat. I don't care about like flame, getting flamed, whatever. But if I'm not enjoying the game I'm playing while I'm trying to like communicate with people, it's done. Like it's done as dinner.
I used to get excited coming home to play D1. I don't get. Let me say it this way. I don't get as excited for D2. When in Discord, when I get a clan chat message that says, "Hey, let's raid tonight," I'm like, "Yes, sign me up. I'm in," because I love raiding and I love hanging out with the guys that I raid with. But I mean, I remember going home. Like I would rush home real fast from work. Sometimes I let class out early just so I can get home because I knew shit. We're gonna raid tonight. I want to get those bounties done so I can get a little bit more XP to rank up one of my guns. That feeling is gone.
I got a story for you. I had a friend who was obsessed with getting. I don't even remember. It wasn't like the standard God roll Imago loop, which was Fatebringer. It was something weird. Okay, he wanted but he just wanted explosive rounds on it. Like he didn't care about anything else, right? But he had like some other perks that were like nobody would ever want on a gun. But this was what he wanted. Okay.
Right.
We did the Black Garden over 100 times one weekend, from start to finish, just to get that gun. Yeah.
That's.
Yeah. I mean, we had a lot of vodka. We had a lot of vodka that weekend.
Yeah, but see, that's what made it fun, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're hanging out with your boy. You're kicking back a couple, whatever it is, beer, vodka, whatever. And I bet you the conversations, some of them were a lot of fun. Others were like, man, I'm having a horrible day today. But it got you through. And then you got what you wanted, right? And you were like, oh, thank God I finally got that.
We never got it.
You never got it.
He had a vault. I'm not even joking. He has a vault page in Destiny 1 that is just Imago loops.
Oh, that's so
funny.
funny.
He never got an explosive round Imago loop.
But, to get back to what I was saying, it brought you together.
Right. Yeah, well, there's a gun in Destiny 1. It's called the Questing Beast. The quote on it is actually kind of funny. It's not about getting the weapon. It's not the point because you'll never get it. It's about the chase. And there's not that chase in Destiny 2. And I think a lot of people forget that.
Yeah.
Is like It's not necessarily about getting the weapon, because there's going to be new weapons in like 3 months. It's about chasing after it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the hunt. It's the chase. It's having the reason to log in every day. Yeah. Which you're talking about in The Division, which I just re-downloaded. And you're like, hey, dude, I have all these gear sets. And then there's another gear set once I get all these gear sets.
Yeah.
And there's the chase, you know?
Yeah, and so far, and I don't quote me on this, because I try to figure out everything on my own first before I actually start reading and Reddit and stuff like that. So far, like, a lot of the gear sets that I'm getting, they drop at a respectable level, but they're not, and I'm going to use a special word that they use, they're not optimized yet. So there are, you know, you get this one gun and it's decent, but then you can go on and start grinding and getting Division Tech, which is like one of their currencies, and some other stuff, and you can optimize that weapon even further.
Yeah, think about if they had it like this in Destiny, like what you're talking about with the Division Tech and the coins. You got your Better Devils, okay?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, man, I don't like the default Better Devils, right? Like, I want something like, of course, we'd need better perks and whatnot, but I'm spitballing here. You have these, because now with the Masterwork armor, you can re-roll, right? What if they made like you can re-roll weapons, but it's like a ludicrous like amount of currency, like it is with I imagine it is with the Division Tech, so you can optimize it. Like, it's like, well, everybody will wind up with the same thing anyways, like they did when we had reforging in Destiny 1, or not, Destiny 1 House of Wolves. So it's you're giving this currency that is ludicrously, you know, kind of hard to get, or you have this high price tag to do it, but I want to do it. I want to use this hand cannon that I really want to use, but I don't like the way it is now, and I can get a better one.
Yeah.
I don't like this sniper, but I can get a better one. I don't like this rocket launcher, but I can get a better one.
Yeah.
You know,
gives you the option.
Like how much, you know, and it's optimal, like it's or not optimal, but it's like it's functional, right? It'll get you through a raid, it'll get you through PvP, you know? In fact, it's kind of like if you think about exotics, the way they were in Destiny 1. You had exotics, and exotics were the meta. Okay, you had your Lashford, you had your Thorn, you had your Suros, you know, depending on what time of the year it was. So you had your exotics, and then you had your secondary weapons, and then you had your, you know, third weapons, your power weapons. But it was always the exotic that defined the loadout, defined the meta. They took that away. Okay, they tried to, and this was even in Destiny 1, they tried to homogenize everything. They tried to like, well, we don't want the exotic hand cannon to be that much better than the legendary hand cannon. No, it's an exotic.
Yeah.
If you have these static rolled exotics, okay, that are competent and meta makers, they make the meta, then you can have these weapons that are like your Aya Saluna or whatever that could be better than these exotics, okay? But you can have them as random rolled, but they're like a secondary kind of grind. They're like a parallel grind. Once you get these exotics, you have what you need to be competent, okay? And then you have a secondary grind with the legendaries. That's how it should be. Not necessarily like, oh, well, you know, everything needs to be static so everybody's on the same playing field. Everybody's not on the same playing field. You want everybody to be on the same playing field, go to Halo.
Yeah.
You know? And even in Halo, if you go to like what's the firefight or Warzone, you know, they have, you know, 1,500 different versions of the battle rifle now, you know, that all do different things. Of course, people only use like one or two of them, but like it's never going to be standardized. Okay, as long as I can have a different starting weapon than you, it's not standardized. What's the point of static rolls?
Yeah,
I didn't like static rolls when they announced them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I wasn't a fan.
And the same thing with the subclasses. Why not make the subclasses OP? If everything's OP, then nothing's OP.
Yeah.
I just don't like the two trees. Like you have
the binary system.
That's dumb. Like come on.
There's zero player investment in that.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I actually have to run to the bathroom real quick.
Oh yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll move into our final segment of the night, guys. So, and it is called The Last Word. Again, no pun intended. It's called The Last Word because it is the final words that will be said here on the show and in our final segment. So each week I'm going to bring to you guys a sort of something good that is happening in the community. And by community, I mean not just in the Destiny community, but in the video game community as a whole. And I feel like a lot of the hate, not just towards D2 and D1, but just in video games as a whole, is usually overshadowing the good that is happening. So this week I would like to talk about the Saint 14 project. They are having a charity stream tomorrow, February 10th at noon Eastern, and is going to end at midnight Eastern time. And they are a mental health awareness group. So if you suffer from depression or have suicidal thoughts or need someone to talk to, these guys are here for you to talk to. You guys can find them on Twitter at the Saint 14 Project, and also Average Joe. He is a writer here at DTR. He is actually a co-founder on the Saint 14 Project. So yeah, I am super excited for this charity stream. So for more info on that, you guys can just go straight to the Saint 14 Project on Twitter, and their Twitch stream will be out at the Saint 14 Project. So again, just check them out for more info. We will be hosting the stream here on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/DestinyTrack. All right, guys. So thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the DTR podcast. Thank you so much, Joker, for joining us this week. We had an amazing show.
I've been looking forward to this. I think I commented on one of your videos like 2 months ago, and I was like, dude, can't wait to have you on the podcast. And you gave it a little like, and I was like, perfect. Made my night.
As always, J Ram, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So where can we find you guys on social media? Joker, you first.
I'm at DSR_Joker on Twitter, and that's pretty much it. And then my YouTube channel, Darkside Royalty Lore.
Sweet. J-Ram.
J_Rambo9119 everywhere. And everybody, I challenge you, go watch his videos. They're fantastic. And the emotion that he exhibited tonight, there's even more of it in his videos. And they're all well done. They're intelligent. They make you think differently about things. That's what I love about your videos.
You're an amazing content creator.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of that you do for this community. Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah. My only criticism is you need to upload more so I have more shit to watch.
I'm on the grind right now. Yeah.
Nice.
My goal is to actually get like 20 videos in the backlog and then like constantly add to that. I don't know if that's achievable, but that's what I want to do.
Yeah, and even your lore videos are fantastic.
I want to really get back to that. I actually have one, not to like segue from the ending, but one that's about, if you ever go to Venus in Destiny 1, you'll notice that the Fallen, for whatever reason, have painted the Ishtar collective symbol all over the walls.
Where? On Venus, you said?
On Venus, if you go into the Archon Priest Strike.
Right.
It's the symbol with the dot, with the circle, with the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's like, why did the Fallen appropriate the symbol for the Ishtar collective?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ishtar, the goddess, Easter, one of her symbols is the egg, the world egg. And that goes into like some other mythology, but essentially it comes back to traveler worship.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big lore videos that I'm working on right now.
You know, there's a lot of like Greek mythology within D1.
Yeah.
Like, even if you go just into the Vault of Glass with the oracles and the meaning behind the oracles, and
even Osiris.
Yeah, if you really dive into that stuff, and I'm not well versed in that, so I would have to watch a video to understand that, because there are people out there that are brighter than I am in that field.
Yeah.
But it's just like, man, the amount of, if that's what they were thinking when they were developing that, it's so badass, and it's like you need to do more like that.
Well, what's really interesting and what got me onto it is, if you look at Varix, he has the Ishtar symbol sewn into his cloak.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I
don't think we've heard the last of him yet.
Oh yeah. He will be back.
I have a feeling that the Reef is heading to war.
I hope. I hope.
With the prince.
All right, guys. So you guys.
All right. No last question. No food question this week.
No food question this week, J-Ram. Sorry, man.
I got one.
All right, go.
What's your favorite ice cream? Joker, you first. You're the guest.
Strawberry.
Wow. Now, just strawberry, or do you need like the real strawberries inside of it?
Yeah, no. You gotta have the real strawberries in it.
Okay.
Yes.
Jay,
Strawberry and cookies and cream. My two favorite.
Cookies and cream is amazing. Yeah.
you look
yeah.
like a cookies and cream type of guy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And what's yours, J Ram?
I like. I don't like ice cream. I don't like sweets. However, there is one specific ice cream I will eat, and that is the brownie flavor from Ben and Jerry's, where it's chocolate with brownie chunks inside of it.
You know,
I don't even know what it's called.
You have to try the birthday cake remix from Cold Stone. That's amazing. Have to try that. It's like cookie dough with brownies in it, sprinkles. It's really good.
That's the only ice cream I'll eat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a savory person, so I like potato chips and
I'm not a
very salty things. I love that.
Yeah.
And it fits my personality. I'm salty as shit.
I'm a very spicy food. I like spicy food.
Oh my god,
yeah.
yeah, I do too. Sometimes I eat so much spicy food that I can't even sit down.
those triple X Cheetos.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it
getting-
going in. Not later.
I really like the Blazing Buffalo Ranch from Doritos. They're pretty good too.
I just picked up a bag of the Blaze, the straight up Blaze ones, so the new ones. You got the Peter Dinklage in the commercial, and I'm like, okay, that was kind of funny.
I haven't
but
tried
those
them
are
yet.
really good. There's like when you open them for the first time, they have this really, really pungent bell pepper smell, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. But I was like, I'll give it a try. I bought the bag.
I like it.
I'm not a spicy food person. Yeah. Nah, sorry.
Yeah, I know. His idea of spice is like salt and pepper.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. You guys can find me on Twitter at J_DTR, Destiny Tracker on Twitter at Destiny Track, and on YouTube at Destiny Tracker and the Tracker Network. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the DTR podcast, and we'll see you guys all next week. Bye, Guardians.
See ya.
Stay frosty.